Was it Vance Joseph's defense or Sean Payton's offense that led to the Broncos getting beat down by the Buffalo Bills? Let's answer that question right now. All right, Broncos country, what a season it was, right? There's plenty of time to talk about how great the season was and how we feel now that the Broncos have found themselves back in the postseason. And I promise you, we're going to get to that here on the show. But today, it's about figuring out what happened. Why did it happen the way it happened in Buffalo on Sunday for the wild card game? First of all, going in, it was a 2-7 matchup, so you know that the Buffalo Bills are just a better team. The Bills are a better team. Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Bo Nix is. But 31-7, outscored 31-0 after the Broncos took a 7-0 lead early thanks to a beautiful bomb from Bo Nix to Troy Franklin. And he actually did it, guys. Troy Franklin caught the football. We've been begging for him to do so all year long. Fun little stat. That was the first ever quarterback wide receiver rookie to rookie connection of all time in the NFL playoffs. That had never been done before. Bo Nix and Troy Franklin now have that record next to their name. That's about all the credit I'm going to give those two for the day, especially Troy Franklin. So was it Vance's defense that allowed the 31 unanswered points, or was it Sean's offense that only scored the 7 and never sniffed the end zone again that cost the Broncos either a chance to win or either just a chance to hang around and be competitive and not get blown out, embarrassed the way that they did? Let's start with VJ's defense. That defense, which was top 5 through the entire regular season till the calendar turned to December and then into January, we obviously know what it looked like. I don't care about the Chiefs game. Didn't count. It was against backups. Yeah, they pitched a shutout 38-0, but we know what that game was. VJ's defense and the strength of that defense is the defensive line. John Franklin Myers, beautiful addition on draft night thanks to the Jets. Zach Allen, beautiful addition from a couple of years ago, coming over to continue working with Vance Joseph. Malcolm Roach, DJ Jones, the guys that we know. Nick Bonito on the outside, Jonathan Cooper on the outside. That defensive line might have been the best part of the Broncos defense. Why they were so good. They had 63 sacks to lead the NFL, the most since any NFL team has had since the Eagles a couple years ago had 70. But on Sunday in Buffalo, they were punked, they were bullied, and they were beat up by a Buffalo Bills offensive line that controlled the line of scrimmage for 60 consecutive minutes. That was the biggest problem, in my opinion. VJ's defense and his defensive line specifically got bullied by the Buffalo Bills. And did you notice what the Bills were doing? Pretty much what the Baltimore Ravens were doing against the Broncos all those weeks ago. You watched the Baltimore game and then that Bills game. Sean McDermott and his staff watched the game tape from the Baltimore game, took everything that they needed, applied it to this game, and were in complete control. The Bills' running attack got over 200 yards. James Cook over 120 yards on his own. Anytime the Broncos would start to build even just a sliver of momentum, James Cook would run for 13 yards and it was all gone. That was the story of the game. So that's my biggest takeaway. It's the defensive line. When you talk about building a team, you know what you do? You build from the inside out, O-line, D-line, and then go outside from there. Well, they might need to address the defensive line a little bit because they were absolutely punked when it came to the top dogs in the NFL. Baltimore did it with Derrick Henry. Now, I get it. He's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. They're probably going to run all over everybody in the league. But, man, they were just beat down by the Baltimore Ravens defensive line. So that's a big one. How about pressures? I just mentioned it, the 63 sacks. They had 2 on Josh Allen and no pressure. They converted a big 4th down in that game where Josh climbs the ladder, then goes back into the pocket, goes east and west a little bit, and then throws the touchdown pass. In fact, it was the one in the back of the end zone where we didn't know if his foot touched out of bounds or not. He had all day to throw the football. So the defensive line did not do their part. The secondary, well, they weren't good enough either, but it's tough to ask somebody to cover for 7-8 seconds, and that was the case in a lot of those plays on Sunday for the Buffalo Bills. VJ's defense from September to November, top 10. In some statistical categories, top 5. Then you go December and the game against the Buffalo Bills, bottom 5. in the league. So what does that do for you? I would love to hear from you in the comments. I'll come back and circle back and we'll have the conversation. VJ or Sean, who gets the brunt of the blame? VJ's defensive line, absolutely unprepared. I also watched PS2 give up on a play. That's not something I'm used to seeing. In fact, I don't know that I've ever seen that. And he's probably about to be the defensive player of the year and gave up on a play. That's weird to see out of an all-pro, Pro Bowl going Patrick Surtain. I don't know if I can really put that on the coach because it's not on your boss to get you motivated to work. You get a paycheck to do that. It was just very strange to see that coming from a guy like Patrick Surtain. So how about Sean Payton? Well, Sean Payton's offense had a beautiful opening drive. The opening drive went for 7. Couple of big runs. It was actually Javonte Williams that got it going. What do you have, like a big 7-yard run to start the game? And then they changed the whole personnel because that's just what Sean does. He has to outsmart everybody, including himself at times and his own team, which he did again yesterday. And then they get the big connection to Troy Franklin. As I mentioned, outstanding. That's how bad Troy Franklin was during the regular season. We all are lining up to give him flowers because he caught the ball. He did his job, and we're supposed to celebrate that. And then after that, guess what they didn't do anymore? Didn't hand the ball off to running backs for more than 2 straight plays. How is a running back supposed to get rhythm, Sean? How is the offensive line supposed to get rhythm with the running back behind them when you don't give the guy more than 2 straight carries? And the Audric Estime situation, we can go there for a second. He deactivated Audric Estime, said that I thought the running style from a Javonte or a Tyler Bidet would be better. All right, I don't have a ton of pushback for you on that one, Sean Payton. But if that's the case, why in the heck did Tyler Bidet get 2 carries? 2 carries. But he was better for the game plan. It's just, again, Sean Payton, I'm going to have a hard time just leaping back into full trust mode in 2025. Why should I trust a guy that doesn't want to run the ball? What's going to change over the summer? He's just going to magically figure out, oh, I got to run the football? Maybe it is about personnel. I'll give him that benefit of the doubt for the time being. Maybe he knew Javonte Williams wasn't it. Maybe he knew Jaleel McLaughlin wasn't it. You still have to try to run the football. You did have Audric Estime that you really didn't give a chance until the latter part of the season. You had a Blake Watson who you paid a bunch of money to be an unrestricted free agent to keep him away from other teams who you gave 0 opportunities for. So if you didn't trust what was happening in the running back room, get new running backs. Try something different. He never did it. He just ignored the running game forever. So I'm going to do it because I don't have any other choice. And no, I'm not the fire Sean Payton guy. His fit with Bo is outstanding, and they need to continue building upon that moving forward. Sean Payton's the best coach for the Denver Broncos since Gary Kubiak was here. So he's not getting fired. I don't even think Vance Joseph is getting fired. In fact, I don't want either of them to get fired. Let's keep some continuity around this football team for the first time in 9 years. So which was it for you? VJ's defense or Sean's offense that led to the Broncos losing this football game? I will say this. I'm very upset with how the defensive line played. They were punked, bullied, and beat down for 60 minutes. But if I have to point my finger at one, and I'm asking you to do it, so of course I'm going to do it. I'm going Sean Payton. You're supposed to be the offensive genius, right? You scored 7 points, man. And that 7 points came on the very first drive of the game. So I am pointing my finger directly at you, Sean Payton. You're supposed to be a savior of offensive football. And I watched you be directly responsible for 3 losses down the stretch. Directly responsible for the Buffalo Bills loss. Directly responsible for the Cincinnati Bengals loss. Bet you want to go for 2 now, don't you, Sean? And directly responsible for the week before that when you got flexed into the Thursday night football game and you still didn't run the ball enough against the Los Angeles Chargers. So 3 out of the final 4 or 5 games, I have questions about who Sean Payton is or what Sean Payton was in that game. So for me, I'm going to point my finger at you, Sean Payton. Very grateful for your drafting of Bo Nix and the fit, you being spot on about that. But your ego getting in the way of you running the football, that's the reason your team got embarrassed in Buffalo. If they ran the football, were they going to win against the Bills? I don't know that I'm here to say that, but it certainly wouldn't have been a 31-7 loss if you had run the football. And one more quick thing on the way out. I was just talking to Zach By and Philip Lindsay after Cecil and I got done doing our radio show. And I gave him this analogy. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I'm a crazy person. And sometimes things in my mind don't make sense to those out there. I think we all do that, right? I hope, or I'm even crazier. But a weird analogy, but I'll share it with you. We go back to high school, college, whatever the case may be. And maybe you get in a fight with an upperclassman, right? They challenge you, they embarrass you, and you have to fight just for the sake of fighting. And you lose the fight. And I'm guilty of it. I want to tell the whole story, but the upperclassman that beat me up back at Northland High School, I don't think it turned out great for him, so I don't want to put their business in the streets. But they challenged me to a fight. I'm scared, right? I'm shaking in my boots. I'm like, oh, God, he's a senior. I'm a sophomore. I'm going to get beat up. I got one good lick in. And you know what happened? I got some respect around the halls of Northland High School. I still lost the fight. Probably crying in the corner on my way home, right? But lost the fight, got one good lick in, and got some respect. That's what the Broncos did in Buffalo yesterday. They fought the upperclassmen, and they got their ass kicked by the upperclassmen. But they got that one good lick in. It sucks that one good lick came on the first drive, and then they got dragged around the schoolyard the rest of the game. But they did get that one good lick in. Is that enough for them to get some respect moving into the next season? I think it is. I think it is, because Bo Nix showed the NFL world who he is. Sean Payton and Bo Nix together showed the NFL world who they are. Add some depth. Sean, figure out why it is you're allergic to running the football. Maybe address the running back room if it's simply about trust. And this Broncos team, they're back in the playoffs in 2025-26. And guess what? They're winning a playoff game in 25-26. This has been Dover on Denver, and now I'm done.